And yes, I know he's not really Baby Yoda, he's the child, but Baby Yoda sounds so much cuter, so that's what we're going to be going with for today's video. Hello friends, and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Lisa J. Welcome to my channel. I make a lot of costuming things, and today we're making a Baby Yoda. It is Thursday night, and I am wearing a lot of makeup and a Disney bound, my Padme Disney bound that I haven't worn since March when I was at Disney and the entire country shut down. I figured if I had to get all of my makeup done up and look all cute, I may as well wear my Padme dress, and then once I had the Padme dress on, I thought I may as well wear my little ears. Aren't they so cute? I got them from an Etsy seller. I'll link their shop down below. It's BB, but it's all pink. I asked her to make it pink. I just love it. I think it looks so cute. Chewbacca liked them. We were walking around the Galaxy's Edge and Chewbacca saw them and he came over and he messed with them. It was a lot of fun. Anyways, in today's video, we're going to make this super cute little Baby Yoda plushie. The Mandalorian is back on Disney Plus for season 2, so it is a perfect time to make yourself your own little Baby Yoda. I found this pattern just browsing Pinterest one day. It is a free pattern available from Teacup Lion. I will link their website and all of that down below so you can find this and follow along. So without further ado, if you want to see how I made this little Baby Yoda plush of my very own, go ahead and keep on watching. Besides the pattern, you will also need some green fleece for his body, some brown fleece for his little outfit, some white and black fleece for his eyes, and some embroidery floss for the embroidery on his little face. To make sure he is good and stuffed, you will also need a stuffing of some kind. I just went ahead and got this fiber fill from Joann's. Before you get started, make sure you take a few minutes to look over these first few pages. I know it looks pretty wordy, but she goes over a lot of useful information, like the different tools, different phrases that she'll be using, layout and cutting tips, different stitches, things like that that will be very useful, especially if you're new to creating little plush guys like this. So the first thing you want to do, of course, is cut out your pattern. You might notice I have some tape along the edges. I just like to put tape along the cutting line so that after I cut it out, there's a little bit of a stiffer edge. It just kind of makes it easier to preserve the patterns for more than one use. Next, I just organized my patterns into what colors of fleece I'll need to be cutting them out of. She does have two little options for her little feet, so just go ahead and pick one style of foot that you want to do. One's ladder stitched and one's just put into the seam, and I ended up just picking mine to go into the seam because I have a kitty cat who likes to drag plushies around, so that just seemed like it would be a little bit longer lasting. Go ahead and cut everything out. Make sure you're paying attention to what needs to be put on the fold, what needs to be cut more than one time, what needs to be cut, on different sides so that there's mirroring images. These pattern pieces are really easy, but there are a lot of them, so you just want to make sure that you take your time and follow the directions that she has printed on there. Since there are so many pattern pieces that are so similar, I went ahead and kept my pattern pieces with the actual cutout pieces just so everything can stay nice and organized. So to get started, we're going to start with the two front head pieces and we're going to put the eyes on it. So first we're just going to top stitch down the white pieces for the white of his eye, and then after we do that, we're going to top stitch down the black pieces for the pupils of his eye. To get some shape to his face, let's go ahead and sew down the dart seams on each side of the head, and then just sew the head front seams together. Now we have a little bit of a shape to his face. Go ahead and set that aside, and now we're going to take a look at the ears really quick. For each ear, you will have two pieces that you'll want to pin together, right sides together. You'll sew along as directed, making sure to leave one edge unsewn. After you've sewn them, you'll want to clip away the excess to reduce bulk, and then turn them out so that you have a nice finished edge. Fold and pin them to create the ear shape as shown on the pattern, and then by hand just stitch up the edge of the ear so that it holds that shape in place. Next up, it's time for his little hands and feet. These are pretty straightforward. All you have to do is pin them right sides together and stitch them up, leaving one side open. Again, to make it easier on me for sewing, I decided to take a little bit of chalk and mark where I was actually going to stitch. That just helped me make sure I kept his little pointy fingers and toes. And then I just stitched them up, cut off the excess like we did for the ears, and flipped them outright. After flipping them outright, you can go ahead and stuff them so that they're pretty plushy, and then just go ahead and baste them closed so that they're ready to be sewn into his body. Next, we're going to take his back head pieces and we're going to sew the back seam right sides together, and we're just going to make sure that when we pin it, we leave a gap of a few inches. This is how we're going to turn him inside out after we've sewn his head to his body, and it's also how we're going to stuff him at the end. So you want to make sure that you leave a decent sized hole there. Set that aside and go ahead and pull out your body pieces. First thing we're going to do is sew up all of the body darts so that he has some dimension to his little body, and then we're going to sew the body front seams together and the body back seams together. Make sure that you leave the side seams open because we still have to put his little arms and legs in. Next, let's grab those head pieces and ear pieces back, and it's time to put his little ears into his little head. This is a little bit tricky, but it's not too hard to follow as long as you take your time and read over the instructions. All of the pattern pieces are very clearly marked where you want to place these, but basically you want to place these ears and make sure that they are in the inside because you're going to have the right side of the front and the right side of the back pinned together, so you want the ears on the inside so that when you flip it out right, they pop out correctly. Pin all the way around the seams, making sure to leave his neck open. Clip the curves and turn him outright to make sure that the ears are in the correct placement. Just repeat that same process for the hands and feet on the body, making sure that the hands and feet are all pointed inwards and that the right side of the body front and the right side of the body back are pointed and pinned together, leaving open the neck so that you can sew that to the head later. Now it's time to sew the head to the body. You kind of have like this little baby Yoda bowl situation happening. You want to make sure that all the hands, feet, and ears are inside the bride at all times so that nothing gets caught or done funny. So you're going to stitch those together, and then after you've done that, you're going to flip it inside out through that hole you left in the back of the head earlier. If you have to take a seam ripper at it and let out a little more space like I did, go ahead and do that. We're going to sew it up again later anyways. It really doesn't matter. At this point, we have an almost finished deflated little baby Yoda, so what we're going to do is go ahead and grab our poly filling or whatever it is you're using to stuff him and stuff it nice and full. There's not really any specified exact amount that you really have to put into it. You're just going to make it as firm or as fluffy as you want. I just went ahead and stuffed it a bunch, and then I would kind of feel for it and see how squishy he felt, and I just kept adding until I was happy with what I had. I don't know how much I ended up using. I think the pattern recommended getting like 8 ounces of this stuff, but you know, whatever makes you happy. It's your plushie. You can do whatever you want. So now he's really starting to look like a little baby Yoda, but he needs a face still. So I just took a little bit of tailor's chalk and I marked where I wanted his eyebrows, his nose, and his mouth, just kind of using the markings on the pattern as a guide. And then after that, we go ahead and embroider.
Now, I don't know, I've never embroidered someone's face before, but it seems like this would have been a lot easier if we would have just done it after we sewed the two front face pieces together. But I don't know, this is the order in which the directions told me to do it, so this is how I did it. The directions were as followed. The first place you insert your needle is where the knot will be. Because it's hard to find needles that are longer than 5 inches, I start my knot in the chest where it would be covered by the clothes. From your first stitch into the plush, stitch out at the left bottom corner of the nose. Pull the thread through and stitch into the bottom right corner of the nose. Then stitch out again at the top center of the nose. To keep both strands of embroidery thread even with one another, use your finger or a sewing pin underneath the threads to let them down together. From the center, stitch into the bottom right of the nose, then out at the bottom left of the nose. From the bottom left of the nose, stitch up into the center top of the nose, then stitch down and out to the top of the center of the mouth. From the top center of the mouth, stitch into the right corner of the mouth, then stitch back into the top of the mouth again. For the left mouth corner, use a pen to mark where you want it to be, then wrap the thread around it to check that angle and distance are symmetrical. Stitch into the left mouth corner. Use pins if needed to check angles and placements of the eyebrows. Stitch out at the left eyebrow's right inner edge. If needed, wrap thread around pins to check angles again. Stitch into the left eyebrow's left edge outer and out at the right eyebrow's left edge inner. Stitch into the right eyebrow's right outer edge. To finish up the knot, from the eyebrow, squish the plush to get the needle back down to where the original knot is. It sounds a tiny bit complicated, but it really wasn't bad, and the pattern has photos all along the way to show you the directions, so it was actually pretty easy to follow. After embroidering his little face, all I had to do was to use a ladder stitch to close up the head back opening. So now that we have the little plush doll part of him finished, it's time to move on to his jacket so that he can have a little outfit. The jacket consists of 4 pieces that say jacket, 4 pieces for the sleeves, and then 4 pieces for the collar. First, you'll take each sleeve piece and fold it wrong sides together and then place it against the right side of the jacket where the sleeve is going to be added, and just pin that on to all 4 pieces and sew it down. Next, you'll do the exact same thing but for the collar pieces. I apparently didn't get that filmed, so unfortunately I don't have any footage to include, but you do the exact same thing. You're just going to fold the collar pieces wrong sides together and then pin it to the right side of the jacket and sew it up. You'll end up with 4 pieces that look just like this. Next, we're going to sew up the side seams for the jacket. You'll want to pin and sew from the collar to the top of the sleeve as well as the bottom of the sleeve down the side seam. Just be careful that you don't sew up the sleeve opening because you'll need that for his little arms. Once that's sewn, go ahead and turn them out right so that you can check and make sure that everything is lining up correctly, and then put the 2 sides right sides together and form the front seam. After you've sewn the front seam, the directions actually direct you to do some top stitching just to add a little design to it. I wasn't actually using thread that matches his little jacket, I was just using what I had on hand, so I decided to skip this step, but if you wanted to do that, this is where you would do that. Since I decided to skip the top stitching, I went right to hemming the bottom just by turning it over about 1/4 of an inch and then stitching it down. After you've hemmed the jacket, all you have to do is sew the last back seam. Again, you'll want to put your pieces right side together, sew it up, and then flip it out right. And just like that, he is ready to be dressed and finished. If you wanted his outfit to be permanent, you could use a couple tacking stitches to connect the garment to his body, but I find that the outfit has no problem just staying in place on its own just by design of the pattern. And also I think it'd be really cute to make a little red and white outfit for him for Christmas and maybe a little Santa hat. I don't know, this thing is like the cutest thing ever. I didn't expect to love it so much, and I absolutely do. Look, he even stands up all on his own.
So that is how I made my little baby Yoda plush. He turned out really freaking cute. There might be some kitty cat hair on him because the kitty cats have been enjoying snuggling up to him. But he turned out really, really cute. I'm really, really happy with it. It's a lot of fun. I made mine over the course of a couple days, but I think if you sat down in the morning and had all day to work on it, you could probably get him done in just one day too. He turned out really cute. I kind of want to make not necessarily another Yoda, but like another little Star Wars friend to hang out with him. So let me know in the comments who you think I should try to make. Maybe a droid. If I make a droid, it's just gonna be BB. I freaking love BB-8. He is just the cutest. How can you not love him? So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think this was my first Star Wars video on this channel, so that's exciting. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to click the like button, share it with a friend of yours who loves Star Wars, and leave a comment down below letting me know what little friend I should make to hang out with him, because he's lonely. He needs a friend. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Bye!